Welcome to the Restricted Handling Podcast. Let's dig in. Here's what's been going on in Russia in the last 24 hours. Geneva is live. As of Tuesday, February 17th, Ukrainian, Russian, and U.S. officials are back at the table. You heard yesterday that territory was going to dominate this round, and that's exactly where things landed. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov confirmed the main issues are territorial, meaning the remaining Ukrainian-held portions of Donetsk Oblast are squarely on the agenda. What's new and worth noting is the composition and tone coming out of Moscow. Vladimir Medinsky is leading the delegation again, and alongside him are Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Galuzin and GRU First Deputy Head Lieutenant General Vladimir Kostakov. Yesterday, we talked about how intelligence equities were embedded in this process. That hasn't changed. If anything, Moscow is reinforcing that this is not exploratory diplomacy. This is hard security bargaining. President Trump has publicly pushed for speed. Zelensky has held firm that withdrawing from Ukrainian-controlled Donetsk is a red line. There's some quiet discussion about demilitarized concepts, but not surrender. And hanging over the talks, again, is the energy question. On Monday night, Zelensky warned that Ukrainian intelligence believes Russia is preparing additional mass strikes against energy infrastructure. That's not abstract. We've seen this pattern before. Russia pauses, recalibrates, then hits hard. Ukrainian officials are reportedly prepared to raise another potential energy strike moratorium in Geneva. But based on past cycles, Kyiv is treating that idea with caution. While the diplomats sit in Switzerland, the war kept moving. On the night of February 15th into the 16th, Russia launched 4 Zircon hypersonic cruise missiles from Crimea, an Iskander M ballistic missile from Bryansk, a Kh-31P anti-radiation missile from occupied Zaporizhzhia, and 62 drones, roughly 40 of them Shaheds. Ukraine says it downed 2 Zircons and 52 drones, but impacts still hit residential, medical, railway, and energy infrastructure in Kharkiv and Sumy. Zircon, by the way, isn't a showpiece weapon trotted out for parades. It's a modern hypersonic system. Its use is both operational and demonstrative. Moscow's signaling capability while conducting routine strike operations, that dual messaging remains intact. Now flip the script. Yesterday, we covered Ukrainian strikes inside Russia, including Taman. In the past 24 hours, we're seeing additional confirmation and ripple effects from similar targeting. Ukrainian drones ignited a fire at the Ilsky oil refinery in Krasnodar Territory. 2 people were reported injured. Belgorod's thermal power plant sustained enough damage that authorities warned centralized hot water could be suspended until April. Bryansk saw outages affecting multiple municipalities after a strike on a substation. Russia claims it intercepted 151 Ukrainian drones overnight across multiple regions, including the Black Sea, Crimea, Krasnodar, Kaluga, Bryansk, Kursk, and even Perm Krai. Flights were temporarily suspended at Perm's Bolshoi-Savino airport. That's deep reach, and the economic aftershock is visible. Russian wholesale gasoline prices spiked sharply last week. AI-92 up nearly 7%, AI-95 up close to 6%, after drone strikes hit the Volgograd Refinery on February 11th and the Ukhta Refinery on February 12th. Volgograd alone has an annual capacity of 13 million metric tons. Market chatter suggests shipments could be paused until March. When refining capacity dips, prices react, even in a heavily managed economy. This is Ukraine expanding the battle space beyond trench lines and tree lines. On the ground, there's a notable update from the Zaporizhzhia axis. Yesterday, we talked about Ukrainian tactical counterattacks. Now we have more consolidated reporting. Between February 12th and 16th, Ukrainian forces retook approximately 201 square kilometers east of Zaporizhzhia city. That's the fastest territorial gain since the June 2023 counteroffensive. There's reporting that Russian use of Starlink terminals was disrupted starting February 5th. Russian mill bloggers complained about communications issues. Whether that was decisive or just one variable, Ukrainian forces exploited the moment. They pushed near Ternovat, Kosivtsev, Priluki, Varvarivka, Vishneve, Yehorivka, and Verbove. They reportedly crossed the Hycher River. Meanwhile, Russian forces continue pressing near Pokrovsk, Kostiantynivka, and Kupiansk. It's still a grinding fight, but Zaporizhzhia shows Kyiv can generate momentum when conditions align. and Moscow is adapting. The Bar's Sarmat Unmanned Systems Center, overseen by Dmitry Rogozin, is expanding into a centralized structure, integrating reconnaissance, strike capabilities, electronic warfare, and training. Detachments named Dnieper, Stalingrad, and Bagration are reportedly focused on operational depth strikes and drone interception. Russia is even developing a new soldier technologist specialty to embed drone integration across units. This isn't improvisation anymore, it's institutionalized drone doctrine. Beyond the battlefield, Europe remains part of the story. Western intelligence reporting indicates former Wagner recruiters are now involved in recruiting economically vulnerable Europeans for sabotage operations, arson, vandalism, targeting facilities linked to Ukrainian aid. The model reportedly relies on telegram outreach and layered cutouts to maintain plausible deniability. The Associated Press has identified at least 145 suspected Russian-linked hybrid incidents across Europe since 2022. It's not tanks rolling west. It's friction. Persistent, deniable friction. On the energy front in Europe, Hungary and Slovakia are again navigating pipeline tensions after Druzhba flows were disrupted on January 27th. Hungary's MOL initiated steps to potentially release around 250,000 tons of strategic crude reserves if shipments don't resume. Budapest has requested that Croatia allow Russian oil shipments via the Adria pipeline. Energy politics remain a pressure point inside the EU. Inside Ukraine, there's another layer: accountability. Former Energy Minister German Galushchenko was detained in connection with the Midas bribery case tied to state nuclear operator Energoatom. Prosecutors allege more than $7 million moved to foreign accounts benefiting his family as part of a broader $100 million kickback scheme. Ukraine's Anti-Corruption Bureau is coordinating with 15 foreign jurisdictions. In the middle of war, Kyiv is still navigating internal cleanup, and it matters for EU aspirations. Inside Russia, the domestic security machine is tightening further. The State Duma is considering legislation that would allow the FSB to suspend communication services upon demand without explicitly tying the action to defined security threats. That's a broad authority lever. The FSB also announced dismantling 86 underground weapons workshops across 37 regions between December and January, seizing firearms, grenade launchers, explosives, and thousands of rounds of ammunition. And then there's Navalny. On the second anniversary of his death, the UK, Sweden, France, Germany, and the Netherlands concluded laboratory testing detected epibetadine, a toxin associated with Ecuadorian dart frogs, in Navalny's biological samples. The UK filed documentation with the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, alleging a breach of the Chemical Weapons Convention. The Kremlin rejected the findings. The timing, with Geneva underway, ensures the issue remains part of the broader diplomatic atmosphere. So here's where we stand. U.S.-mediated talks in Switzerland focused on territory, energy strikes looming, hypersonic missiles in play, Ukrainian drones hitting refineries deep inside Russia, European sabotage networks under scrutiny, pipeline politics simmering, anti-corruption cases unfolding in Kyiv, communication control laws advancing in Moscow. Thanks for listening and being part of the RH community. Please take a moment to leave a 5-star review. If you want to see some changes, email us at info@restrictedhandling.com. We also publish a daily written intel brief on Substack, where you'll find even deeper coverage of Russia and China, along with insights on Iran, the Middle East, and the DPRK.